I'm truly excited about what we're doing with the operations directory. As a product manager, we're taught by luminaries like Edison and Einstein that you should put all of your effort into understanding the problem and making sure you have the problem that needs to be solved. And just from the rallying that we're seeing from our customers as well as the operations industry as a whole, we think we're really onto something, and it's exciting. So not so subtly, that was about connectivity. A couple other things, as everything is, but we're going to keep with that connectivity theme for our next and last demo. Now, we'll throw on a little bit of speed, a little bit of flexibility too, but what we're going to talk about is the continued need for compliant messaging capability in our industry. Mobile platforms like WeChat, WhatsApp, SMS continue to grow in usage, and the regulators' focus on this area is also very much continuing, as we've seen with the recent headlines. Again, as a product manager, it presents two very interesting challenges. The problem is we have two customers. Our end users have a list of requirements that's one thing. Make it easy. Let me just text. Our compliance officer customer, as you might imagine, slightly longer list. Not just the record retention pieces of it, but multi-firm chat controls, disclaimer management, data loss control. So how do we balance the needs of the compliance officer with the end user to create something that is truly great? So our opportunity is to deliver that. And what we've done is we've looked across every point of that workflow, and we've went in with an emphasis on simplification, making it as simple and as native for that end user to use so that they can go from conversation, maybe in person, to a text, or vice versa. So how do we connect all of these as quickly as possible? So some of what you're going to see today is with our continued partnership with Symphony, who is a great partner of ours, and they're here today helping us connect all of that and connect into compliance as well as voice. Now, one thing that we're not going to demo today, because it's just a little bit less relevant for London, but it's for our London office, but it's no less important for us, is we now have a live integration with Line. For those of you not familiar with Line, it is a very popular messaging product in Japan, Thailand, and Taiwan, and we've been partnering with our customers in the Asia markets to roll that out in their teams so that they can help have that same compliant messaging. But enough of me, truly enough of me. Let's get to our last demo of the day. Chris and Mesa, come on up.
Mike. Hi, everyone. My name is Mesa Baladi.
Hi, I'm Chris Wimberg. For those of you that don't know, Symphony's Federation solution is the compliance-enabling platform that allows our customers to connect with their clients on the channel that they prefer. And I think one thing we can definitely all agree on is when it comes to communications, the customer's always right.
And since we first launched our Symphony integration with WhatsApp, we've seen a nearly 3x growth in usage year over year. But we haven't been resting on our laurels. Thanks to your feedback, we've incorporated a number of new and exciting developments in this space over the past few months. Two of the main points that we heard are, one, delivering a native and seamless user experience, particularly around the onboarding of contacts, and two, consolidating all external voice and chat communications into a single fit-for-finance application through the Symphony mobile app.
Exactly. So to show you some of these workflows today, we've decided not to test our method acting too much on this occasion. So Mesa and I are going to be playing the roles of relationship managers at an industry event, funnily enough. We've got Nurbe on stage with us, who's going to help us manage the phone and keep our hands free.
And in the back, we have our colleague Mark, who will be playing our high net worth client. Lucky you, Mark. At events like today's conference, business and relationship building happen on the go, so we don't always have time to fill out forms or onboard our contacts. To address this, in today's demo, we'll be showing you how you can now chat and speak with your contacts immediately without having to go through any admin or extra steps. What's more, we'll show you how Symphony's new solution, powered by Symphony, can allow us to save even more time by recording and transcribing our voice conversations into text, and how we can then even send a summary of that transcript into a Symphony chat with the follow-up actions.
Sounds amazing. So less admin, more business.
Exactly.
Relationship manager's dream, obviously. So On the screen, we have the Symphony mobile app, and for this, I have been given a dedicated phone number. So I can actually safely manage all of my calls and messages now from the Symphony app, but also still use my personal apps and my personal number on the phone. So if, for example, someone invites me to a cocktail event in 15 minutes, I'll still get that message as well, which is great for me. Mark is going to be playing the lucky client that I cornered in the coffee break. Now, typically for me, we've exchanged details, but I haven't added him to my contact list yet. But I'm on stage doing a presentation, so it's excusable, right?
Yeah, I don't know if that's really a valid excuse not to be proactive with your clients, but carry on, Chris.
I'm going to run with it anyway. Okay, so the coffee's kicked in. Mark is super excited to speak to me, obviously. So I've just received his message. Although I haven't added his contact, I still see his number, and I can see that's coming from an SMS message. So, Nurbe, if you can please reply to Mark, that would be great. Let him know that I'm just as excited to connect to him. And you'll see on the other screen here, we've got Mark's phone, and I haven't had to leave my Symphony app at all. I've received that in a Symphony chat. What you'll see is that Mark's received that back natively as an SMS message as well. Now, I gave Mark a pretty professional sales pitch before this, so I'm not surprised that he wants to move this straight to a call. So, I'm not up to much. I think we should probably go for it. Nobody replies, and then Mark's going to give me a buzz. And again, not leaving my Symphony app here. Hey, Mark, how are you?
Hey, Chris, I'm completely pumped. I'm at an amazing conference at the minute. But look, hang on, I've got my diary in front of me, so I wondered, how does 2 o'clock tomorrow fare for a call?
Yeah, that should be good. I should have recovered by then. So I'll send a calendar invite for 2 p.m. Can you send that report that we talked about as well in the coffee break, please?
Oh yeah, good plan. I'll do that. Speak tomorrow.
Perfect. Thanks, Mark.
Cheers, Chris.
Cheers. Okay, so as we've mentioned earlier today, through our partnership with Umini, in the background, that call is being transcribed, and then our AI model is actually summarising the call, pulling out any key actions, and pushing that through to my Symphony chat later. So if I did get invited to that cocktail event, I don't have to worry about forgetting the details.
So while we wait for those notes to come through, Chris, let's say I'm at the same event as you today. Could I show you what I would have done in your shoes with my client?
I feel like you're going to try and make me look bad, but yep, let's swap. Go for it.
Don't mind if I do. So at this conference, I met Marcus, who oddly sounds like he could be Mark's evil twin.
Yep.
But also just so happens to be a high net worth client. And so unlike Chris, I'm going to be a bit more proactive with my client relationships and reach out to Marcus first. So as I mentioned, I wanted to be proactive. So when I met Marcus at the conference, I directly added his contact details into my phone address book. If we take a look at the phone that's up on the screen, this is my Symphony app again, and we click on New Message, and from there, we start to type in Marcus's name, we see that Marcus Evil Twin's contact is being pulled from the address book in which I added him earlier into my Symphony application, so I don't have to input his contact details twice. So from there, if we click on Start for Marcus, we see that there are a few channels through which I can reach him, but he mentioned earlier that WhatsApp was his go-to, so let's use that. From there, we confirm Marcus's information. And what's happening in the background is that Symphony is onboarding Marcus so that going forward, I can reach him from my mobile phone to his platform of choice for a recorded conversation. And while that's happening, if we can also take a look at the second phone that's on the screen, so to your right, this is Marcus's WhatsApp application, totally native, where we can see sort of the onboarding that's happening for him, the experience that he'll receive as that chat is being created. Wonderful. So, Nurbe, if you could please send Marcus a message on my behalf. And again, we can see on the WhatsApp side how Marcus is receiving that first interaction with me. And there we have it, the start of a new and beautiful business partnership.
Very nice. Credit where it's due. I think proactive approach, I do admire it. Obviously, I'll give you that. But it's kind of normal, right? I mean, everyone here today, adds contacts, we send messages back and forth. Where's the fancy stuff that we've promised everyone?
So Chris, that's actually exactly what we're going for. As Mike was referring to earlier, we wanted to make onboarding seamless and let people use their phones as they would every day. Or as our product teams would say at Symphony, it's a truly native experience. Whether Mark is sending an SMS text message, whether his twin Marcus is sending through a WhatsApp, or whether Chris, you and I are on our Symphony application, all of us are on the go, on our phones, and no time is lost.
Exactly that, and I think time is the key here. What we're going for is not making our own customers wait, and also their clients not having to wait as well. So that native experience, definitely speed is of the essence. Along those lines, sometimes you can't beat a good old-fashioned phone call, right?
So on that point, I do agree with you, Chris.
Good.
Why don't we give Marcus a call from our end?
Sure.
This time, rather than receiving the call from within the Symphony app, although it was extremely cool, it was more the passive approach,
Yeah.
we're going to go into my phone address book. So here we're leaving the Symphony mobile app. We're going into my address book, so this is just where I would have all my contacts in general. Open up Marcus's contact card and call him via Symphony there. And we see that go through on Marcus's phone too. Oh, very evil ringtone.
Hello.
Hey Marcus, how's it going?
So busy, but really appreciate the proactivity with the WhatsApp and the call. I think that Chris guy has just clocked me out. I need to go. I'll call you back.
Oh my gosh, be careful with that one. Perfect. And as Chris was mentioning in the context of his conversation, the call that I just launched from my phone address book is also being recorded and transcribed in the background, thanks to Symphony's solution with Humany.
Exactly. So on that note, why don't we jump back in, and if we pull up, Nobe, the conversation from earlier on, and we can actually see, and I think this bit is actually really, really cool. So we have got the summary of the call that I had with Mark, a prompt to set up the meeting for 2 p.m., and a reminder that he's going to send me the report that we discussed as well. So all my homework is done, no effort on my part, just stick to the sales pitch. It's brilliant.
I agree with you, Chris, also on this point. This is really cool. I mean, every time I see this demo, even though I've seen it a few times now, I'm incredibly impressed. We have to remember that all this information, processing, logging, and sharing happened from a phone call that Chris essentially received on the fly. He didn't go through any onboarding or any admin, which we know is not his strong suit.
Yeah, I'll take that one. Definitely. So Symphony took care of everything, and I think that's the key thing here. I didn't leave the Symphony app the whole time, neither did you. We integrated with the other things on our phone, but basically everything was handled by the one app. So no change in behavior, everything's on its way to the CRM. Just to recap quickly, we can now send and receive messages from the Symphony app without any disruption to workflow, make and receive phone calls, again without leaving Symphony, and as I said, my favorite bit, less admin, and everything's safely archived.
With that in mind, the best testimonies come directly from our clients, which is why I'm happy to hand it over to my colleague, Alex Adam, as well as our guests from IG Markets, who are using our compliance-enabling messaging solution today. Aaron, Luke, and Alex, all yours.
Hello, everybody. So first off, thank you to Maisa and Chris for your contagious energy and for such a wonderful demo. Thank you to Luke and Aaron for being with me here on stage today. And as Maisa mentioned, we really do pride ourselves in having our customers on stage presenting the impact of the real use cases achieved with Symphony. And today we'll be discussing IG's usage of our federated WhatsApp solution. So Aaron, given that you've been the main driver of the Symphony project for about 2 years now, it's been quite a journey, we'll start with you. So could you tell us a bit about IG Group, its core businesses, and some of the key strategies and priorities you hold within the client servicing space?
Yeah, of course. So IG are actually a global fintech firm, and we offer an online trading platform and educational content to our clients, predominantly trading in the OTC derivative space, but ETPs and more traditional products in share dealing and investment as well. And we're constantly trying to evolve our products in our proposition to really make sure that we're meeting client demand and giving them whatever they need, whatever their expectations are of us as a brand. And one of our core values at IG is to really champion the client and make sure that we are servicing them in the best way possible, whether that's the UX they experience on our platform, or, as Luke's probably more better placed, I guess, to tell you about the way that we service them through our people. So I'll hand over to you.
Great, thank you. So now, Luke, on to you. So as an account manager and as a salesperson myself, I understand that it can be quite difficult to get clients to respond at the speed that I would like. That's never been the case between us. You both have always been extremely responsive. I'm very grateful. But Luke, given your role as a premium client manager, what are some of the traditional ways in which you engage with your clients, but also some of the challenges that you face specifically within the communication side?
Yeah, sure. And look, I'm firstly glad to see that you got the notice about wearing a pocket square today. Glad that little sync-up chat worked. Look, my role is to represent clients. And I think the important thing to note with us is our clients don't necessarily work for banks. They're not traders. These guys aren't mandated to talk to us. We're an execution-only service. So the really important part for me is to make sure that we are presenting what we believe is our value proposition. As a premium client, we want to make sure that we're offering a bespoke, best-in-class service. And for me as an account manager, that involves a very human problem of talking to them. And I think the real difficulty that we have in traditional methods is if we are trying to make a phone conversation to initiate a relationship, we're usually interrupting clients' days, right? These guys are, potentially business owners. They're people that work in, they're doctors, they're surgeons. They are people that could be driving. They could be on a train. They could be on a plane. They really could be anywhere. But they're trading because they're ambitious, they're self-driven, and they've got a real kind of keen interest and have actively chosen us as their trusted partner. So traditionally, we're going to try and call them. That doesn't work. We're going to try and send them an email. And in London, we look after roughly the top, as a group of account managers globally, we look after about 90% of group revenue. So we're really quite concentrated at the high end. In London, my team are roughly a team of 20, split into 3 or 4 teams. And so we look after anywhere between 150 and 170 clients each. So you can really see that kind of pinching point. If I can speak to a third of my clients and I can generate a relationship and a conversation, fantastic. If I can't, how do I propose the value proposition? The clients are interacting with the same app, the same service, the markets are the same, the risk is the same. And so for us, it's really a case of trying to convey that message and start a conversation. And I think the big thing that I've always been quite a keen driver on is trying to live where the clients live. And that was a really kind of key reason as to why we initiated Symphony.
Yeah. And so you mentioned the need for an alternative solution. So I actually want to turn this now to you, Aaron. So given that you were the one responsible for the research, investigation, and ultimately the decision-making process of finding a tool that was at the same time compliant, but could also maintain that personal connect that you were referring to, and also deliver on user experience. So therefore, can you explain some of the factors that led you into choosing Symphony's federated WhatsApp solution as the alternative channel for the premium client managers?
Yeah, of course. So one of the things that Luke sort of has touched on quite a lot is making sure that we're meeting our client demands. So there was a very clear demand from quite a lot of our high value clients that they wanted to be able to access their account managers and also for the account managers to contact them through WhatsApp. But of course, we're not the only stakeholder isn't the client. We've got to make sure from a regulatory perspective, from our investors' perspective, that they're still confident that we're doing things in a compliant manner. And that's where sort of Symphony came in, and obviously the lovely Alex came in as our account manager here that soldiers on the brand. But it was really looking at something that could solve the issue in a way that our own internal teams were really confident in. And we actually already had Symphony installed, and we were using it for the Bloomberg chat functionality, not on the account manager side, but on our dealing desk side. And that just was really, really well received. So from a usability perspective, the dealing desk were really confident that the tool worked, that it was easy to use. There was a really quality service from the guys at Symphony. If there were any problems, it was constantly being managed. And I think Luke and I can attest that's continued since we also went with the WhatsApp solution. So it really ticked all of the boxes that we needed in both the commercial side and the compliance side, which is not something that happens too often, but definitely did in this case.
Alex, you can give Erin that
I was
five.
going to say, it's very lovely to work with the both of you.
He takes it.
No, thank you, Erin. That's very interesting. And I think as a final question, I think the most important one, and I'm going to bring it back to you, Luke, because as someone that uses our product and the solution on a day-to-day basis, but to also engage with your clients, can you tell us a bit about your personal experience, but also allude a bit to how this has been received by clients and some of the feedback there?
Yeah, of course. Look, I think in short, it's been nothing but game-changing. In reality, on one hand, we're now saving our clients a lot of phone credit on their with their personal with their telco plans because we're just passing so many more messages, and it's been really interesting to see how the tool has been picked up by the 20 of us here in London, and then we've gone on and we've been an ambassador for the WhatsApp Connect product within IG globally, and setting an example for the rest of our colleagues, and therefore representing our clients even better. I think the way that I can disseminate the kind of impact as a relationship manager, as I'm sure you can attest to, for us it's a lot about business development, but it's also a lot about retention. And I've got kind of a couple of examples about how this has worked. So, in the news recently, if we start to talk about retention, one of the key ways that we use this is to pass on breaking news pretty quickly. We know that our clients are busy. We know that they're not necessarily watching the markets all the time. We're quite a unique part of the market in that sense. And THG has been a stock that's been in the news a lot recently. One of my colleagues was using the Blast tool to make sure that as soon as there was any breaking news, we were able to get that out to the 5 or 6 clients that he was covering instantly, and they were informed straight away. And I think something like that, it's a very popular stock within the retail market and amongst our clients. Because we were the first ones to effectively break the news to the clients, as soon as there was something that we were able to lift from an external news sourcing, whether there was something, some commentary on a social media site, or whether it was something through, Bloomberg or CNBC or of any of these kind of places, we were the ones that were getting it out. So for us, it allows us to be top of the client's mind, to know that we are the quality operator in the market. We are the ones that are going to get this news across to them as quickly as possible, so they can attest and adjust and change their portfolio and their position as and when. That's what I would kind of say is a key retention tool. When I now look through at business development, there's plenty of examples, but one that my colleague was telling me recently is that he had a particular client that was semi-active. He was trading with us for a little while, but to our mind, he was quite unengaged. Several telephone conversations to no success. He even tried calling, in the morning, in the evening, was trying to figure out whether this chap was, working full time, whether he was doing something for a business. We just don't know. Connected via Symphony, and it turns out that this chap travels a lot. He's always in the air, and he just could never get hold of him. What it now has attained to the fact that we've actually brought a lot of the client's business across from other providers. So what was a good client of ours, a great client to have, became a very, very good client. And so for this particular account manager, he's now a top 3 client, and they've organised meetings, and there's actually been a huge amount of business development going on. So that is a very, very pure cause and effect about that one particular client. And the third thing I'd touch on that we initially thought was going to be a blocker was because the WhatsApp service is through Meta, we have to first send out we have to onboard them. They then receive a prompt to say, do you wish to accept this message from your account manager? And we've got that message quite tailored. We thought that was going to be a blocker. We thought that would annoy people. But actually, it's done the exact opposite. One of the big things we're quite keen on in our brand and the way that we want to move the business forward is about inspiring confidence. That's both inspiring confidence for clients, trading their own money through education, through data, and it's also having confidence in us as their preferred broker. So with all the stories about all these compliance issues going on around the world, the fact that we can convey that at the start of the relationship on Symphony, it's actually, we're getting tons of feedback about how much that's helping clients and how comfortable they are with using the product. It's surprising us every single day.
That's amazing. And I love that you touch upon the confidence on the client side as well, because I think that's something that is important to hear, and it's excellent feedback.
It's so important. It's so important. These people are trading their own money and investing their own money. They don't have risk managers. They don't have, the whole kind of infrastructure around them that people working as traders in banks have. And that's where we need to represent these people and making sure that we're cutting through the noise. And anything that we can do to inspire that confidence for themselves or for us is a win-win for us.
Yeah, and thank you to Harry and Alex and Aylin, because a lot more functionality coming, like you said, the blast bot, et cetera, so we're very excited. So that concludes our discussion here. So thank you, Luke and Aaron, for being on stage with us and closing out the customers portion for Innovate 2023.